Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I hope you're all doing well. Good to see you again. I've not been here in the last couple of events, but it's good to be back. So, you are very lucky this morning. You have a special gentleman here who's a dynamic leader, open the room, and you are in for some fantastic line of speakers this afternoon. We're going to hear from the best of the best in this industry, and we're going to hear from a doctor who's going to educate us more about health and well-being, and also we're going to have some business education. So let me introduce myself briefly. I practiced science for over 12 years. I don't like to say I'm a scientist because I'm not a scientist. I practice science. I'm Anna. I'm from London. So for 12 years of my life, I worked in the sickness industry. I thought I was working in the health industry, but I've noticed that I was only treating sick people, and I was not offering them any solution or any preventative measures. So I worked in the NHS, I worked with diabetes, male infertility, cancer diagnostic, genetics, and I've noticed all of these patients, nobody educates them about health. So I'm passionate about health and nutrition. I've been studying it myself, self-education, and I've paid that with my science degree as well. So what we're going to talk about today is going to talk about something very important and very close to our heart. We're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about how health is important, and it's the most number one important factor in our life. But we don't really treat it the same. We don't look after ourselves. We just hope that something down the line, if anything happens, the doctors will look after us, right? Nutrition is 80% of our well-being. 20% is exercise, and 80% is diet. Unfortunately, we were eating from Mother Nature before, but since the 1960s, since the revolution of our food and the ultra processes that entered our life, things has changed. We're going to talk about essential fatty acid today, and why this important component is called essential. It's called essential for a reason, because our body don't make them. We either extract them from our diet or through supplementation. Now, science has taught us that there is an important ratio between these two omega-3s, the essential fatty acid. One is called omega-6 and one is called omega-3. They're both important and they're both essential, but they do two opposing things. One is pro-inflammatory and one is anti-inflammatory, but our body needs to have them in an ideal ratio. What do I mean by that? 3-to-1 is the ideal ratio where we have to have these two omegas to be in balance, so our cellular levels is in balance. But when we eat too much of the pro-inflammatory omega-6s, that we mainly eat it through our diet, through the soybean oils, the vegetable oils, and all the ultra-processed food, that has really put our cellular level of our body in that state of imbalance. So the average used to be 3-to-1, but now it's 15-to-1. What do I mean by that? So this gradual increase in our omega-6s has caused lots of silent inflammation, lots of cellular problems inside the tissue. Our body consists of 37 trillion cells. These 37 trillion cells need to work in harmony, need to be healthy, and the cellular membrane outside the cell is the most important barrier to that cell. And the cell membrane needs essential fatty acid, particularly omega-3. So if you look at the cell on the left-hand side here, that cell doesn't look in a natural state, does it? It looks a little bit inflamed, the cell membrane is not as fluid, and the nutrient can't enter easily to nourish the cell, and the waste can't come out easily either. So that cell is in a constipated state. Why? Because we're eating way too much of omega-6s, that is causing that inflammation and not enough of omega-3s. However, this is how our cells should look like. Nice, green and flexible so that nutrient can enter the cell easily and the waste product can come out easily. So to achieve a healthy cell membrane, we need a 3-to-1 balance between omega-6 and an omega-3. So really, our health starts from a cellular level. So when the doctors and the scientists look under the microscope, they look in to see what's happening inside the cell. They're looking to see what's the state of the cell. These cells make up organs. All our inner organs are made of cells. So if these cells are not nourished with enough omega-3s, essential omega-3s, they will be in that state. So what are the consequences if that the body is living in and out of a state of imbalance? Huge complication, starting from your internal organs to our bigger problems like our brain function, Alzheimer's, and dementias. This all starts very early. Heart attack doesn't start at the age of 50, it starts at the age of 20, 30. All your habits that you've been accumulating over the years can cause that heart attack at the age of 50. Same thing with dementia. Dementia starts at the age of 40. We just start to ignore things. Oh, I'm just getting older, I'm forgetting things. The focal point here is there's something missing in our cellular level. The tissue is the issue. So that consequence of that imbalance is reduced heart function, as I said, reduced organ function, joint function. So all these lingering problems that we feel every now and then, we normalize it. We feel like, okay, I'm not feeling all right today, I've got this migraine, I've got every now and then I've got, pain in my knees. This is all due to that imbalance, due to that inflammation in our internal organs because of the cellular imbalance. Now let's see the PubMed USA National Laboratory. What have they got to say about this important phenomenon? Excessive amount of omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acid, the PUFA, and a very high omega-6 ratio is found in today's Western diet, promote pathogenesis of many diseases, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, inflammatory, autoimmune disease, etc., etc. Omega-3 is the most studied element in nutrition. 39,500 publications done in omega-3. It's the most studied nutrition out there because science has found out this is very crucial for our well-being, but we kept ignoring it. We didn't know how important it is. So are we living in the safe zone or are we living in the danger zone? How many of you would like to find out if you are in the safe zone or the danger zone? Most of us, right? It's a $1 million question. How do we find out? Are we 3-to-1 and above, or are we more than 4-to-1? Very simple test. Again, this is a science-based company. We offer science-based, we offer testing. If you can't test it, we can't measure it. So what does our test tell us? The test is a very simple box that consists of 2 lancets, a dry blood test, 2 drops. You send it to a laboratory, and that test will show you how is your cellular level, your body and your cells are doing internally. This is my own result. I took my test, as Professor Jury said. I took this test, and I took mine, and I came 12-to-1. I thought I was healthy. I was eating everything right, and I was balancing myself. I'm not eating any vegetable oils. But I didn't realize I was eating way too much of omega-6. I was eating the bad nuts. I thought they were good for me. I wasn't eating lots of meat. I was eating fish and everything. But this is reality. How many of us don't even know what the score is like? Now, so where do we send the test? We send it to our Vitas Analytical Services. They're an independent partner. So they're not part of Zenzino, they're an independent partner that we send our result to. They have other partners, official partners, like Harvard University, University of Cambridge, University of Oxford, and Zoe here in the UK. I know Professor Tom Spector, he uses this platform as well for his Zoe platform. So we're not alone. All of these partners use VITAS just like ourselves. Now, let's look at the state of the world. How many tests have we conducted so far, and what the outcome? We have conducted 1.5 million tests so far, and the world is out of balance. Every single continent, no exception, moving from Africa to Middle East, Europe, North America, the average is 97%, which is shocking. So far out of this, can you imagine how many people are waiting to be tested? The planet is 8 billion, and we've only tested 1.5 million. Look at the opportunity. Our goal is to get hospital out of business by this vehicle and preventing issues and inflammation, and let people know early about their risk factors of cardiovascular disease, their risk factor of dementia, by getting them tested and giving them solution that can alter the state of their health. So how do we fix this problem? Zinzino has brilliantly assembled a fantastic scientific advisory board, and we are very lucky and privileged to have one of those doctors joining us today, Dr. Colin Robertson, who's going to give his own story about how unique Zinzino is and the future of test-based nutrition. Leading this advisory board is Dr. Paul Clayton. He's a nutritionist, he's a pharmaconutritionist. He has published over 200 peer-reviewed research papers and journals on this area. I'm currently reading his book. He's got an incredible insight. He's an expert in this field. Also, Dr. Angela Rizzo, she's a biochemist from the University of Milan. She pioneered the dry blood testing technology. So she's very well known in this industry, and I knew her before joining Zinzino. So I'd like you to hear from Dr. Colin Robertson about his experience with Zinzino.
As a researcher, we always look to the best available evidence, and there was a paper published in 2018 that concluded that standard omega-3 simply didn't bring about a meaningful change. And that was really where this segue came in, and someone opened up my mind to this company from the Scandinavia, as it was described, called Zinzino, which is a good friend of mine who had some health issues and had been advised by his physician to take this product because it was the only one that worked. And I was skeptical because I'd read every kind of report that told me none of it worked. So why would it be different? And the difference came down to two parts that I found compelling. Part one was the fact that it was test-based nutrition. I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. Testing and analysis is everything that we do. If we can't measure it to a certain extent, we don't believe it actually happened. And not only was there a test, but the test was housed, was administered and managed by one of the most reputable laboratories in the world. So this captured my interest. I knew that something different was going on here. And then I looked at the product and realized that there was genius behind the innovation. And the genius was really, really simple. Because in nature, wherever we find that omega-3, it's naturally bound to the polyphenol. And what Zinzino had done, uniquely and successfully, was rebind the polyphenol. So before I looked at anything else, I knew that what we had here was disruptive. It was a huge change to the industry.
Incredible. So Dr. Colin Robertson just gave an overview about our solution, our Balance test, our Balance Oil Plus. So let's dissect this into the main ingredients and talk about it for a bit. Why is our synergistic formula so unique? Is because we have something important called the polyphenol as the main ingredients that prevent oxidation. So when you take any of the natural supplements, fish oil, they stay in your blood for so many hours before reaching your blood, before reaching all your cells around the body, and it just oxidizes. It actually becomes more harmful than it's useful. So the polyphenol, it's a strong antioxidant that's present in olive oil that prevent this oxidation, prevent that from happening. Also, we have standard omega-3 of EPA, DHA, DPA from wild fish. This is quite important. Some of the manufacturers overlook them. So the EPA is good for your cognitive function, it's good for brain function, it's also good for your nervous system. All of this here we have them included in the balanced oil. And the two other fascinating things that we include in the balanced oil is vitamin D and vitamin E. Why do we need to have vitamin D? Vitamin D is so essential for our immune system. If we don't have enough of vitamin D, our body can't absorb vitamin C. We need to have vitamin D in order to absorb vitamin C. We also need vitamin E as a repairing mechanism for that damaged cell membrane. How do we correct that damage? Through vitamin E. So when I look at this formula as a scientist, I thought this is so unique. Vitamin D can only be absorbed with what? Fat. So if you take vitamin D without fat, healthy fat, your body's not absorbing it. You're not getting that benefit, you're not reaping that benefit. So the fact that you have polyphenol, which is soluble fat, preventing oxidation, and vitamin D that can only be absorbed with fat, and vitamin D to repair that cell membrane, that's why we call it our unique synergistic formula. I looked at the supermarket before I got into Zinzino, and I could not find a single product that I was comfortable with. I was looking at all the ingredients, I could not find any formula that fit this criteria. Now, we have all these certifications, you can look at them. Informed Sport, GMP, Halal, and we have them in different flavors. So if you're vegan, we have vegan flavor. If you don't like oil, we have a capsule format. If you like different flavors, trial friendly, we have them to suit all. So you do your package solution, you test yourself to see where you are in terms of your relationship with the ratio. You test, then you tape, and then you retest again. So test, tape, test, test, tape, test. Right, so this is what I've been alluding to. This is very visual graphic to show you the difference between all the oils out there. So why are we different? Our balanced oil takes 35 hours to travel around the body. If you imagine a car that's going around the M25, this is exactly what the oil is doing, circulating around. You need to circulate for about 8 miles or so to every single tissue. But the other brand, the cod liver oil, the other krill oil, they don't last that long. Only 15 hours and they oxidize it. So, the antioxidant keeps the oil from oxidation, increase absorption in the body, and it stays fresh and potent, and to prevent the body from oxidative stress. So the longer the balanced oil is in the body, the longer the lasting benefit. Now, you know that test I took before I got into the balanced oil. Now I retested myself again after 4 months, and this was my result. I was 12 to 1, and now I'm 22.1. So that's evidence to me that the testing the oil is working. How many products we have in the supermarket that we take, but we don't know if it's working in our body, if it's giving us any benefits. So the key is in the testing, the key is in the result. 95% of those taking the Zinzino Balance supplement are back in balance in 120 days. Why 120 days, you might ask? That's the time it takes for the cycle of your red blood cells. So your red blood cells are formed in the bone marrow, and they'll take them a cycle of 120 days, 4 months approximately, before they go back and die in the spleen. So there's a cycle for all our cells. Your liver takes approximately 6 months. Your skeletal system, it takes 10 to 12 years. So your body is constantly changing. So 120 days is a perfect sweet spot for you to test. If your ratio is too high in the beginning, you might take a little bit longer for you to be corrected to get into the ideal ratio, but normally 95% of people go back into an ideal ratio. So these are the health benefits for each stage. From the day you were born to an old dry pain, we need omega-3. We need it for our reproductive system, we need it for our immune system, we need it for our joints, we need it for our metabolic aging. we need for all these factors, so everybody without an exception, we need them to function, we need them to survive, we need them for our immunity. These are the 18 health claims that have been approved by the European Food and Safety Authority. That's our balanced oil help to normalize brain function, heart function, and immune function. These are the three main factors and issues that people deal with. Heart disease is the number one cause of death in the UK for males, and dementia is the number one cause of death for females. So we are addressing these two important areas, the brain and the heart. So our brain, we need it for our function, for our overall body, and we need the heart because it's pumping the blood around. So we have lots of ambassadors in the sports arena. We have selected a gentleman to share his story with you. I'd like to listen from Chilton about his experience of using the balanced oil.
Hello, I'm Tom Chilton. I'm World and British Touring Car Independent Champion, and I have a big smile on my face just because I am now about to announce, after my first race win last weekend, proud ambassador of Zenzino. Every single product is brilliant, is amazing. For me, I have no idea what it's like in a race car. It's hot, it's hard work, and my knees take an absolute pounding. We have to hit brake pedals so hard. And the one thing which really helps me is the balance of the oils. It's absolutely incredible. And you know what? You can be a massive part of my success so far this year. I'm fourth in the British Championship, and I'm looking forward to many more wins. But the race team look after my car, and Zenzino look after me. And I'm very, very happy to be on board.
Brilliant. That's Tom Chilton's experience. Thank you, Tom, for sharing your experience with us. Now let's dive into the company, because behind every successful product, we need to know the story about the successful company. So Zenzino is a health and wellness company. It's a global company from Scandinavia. They've been around for the past 23 years or so. We are a public traded company. We publicly traded the NASDAQ North American, North Premier Market, beg your pardon. We have strong financial growth. These are headquarters around the globe. We have our distribution offices in red, and we have our headquarters in blue. So we deliver to over 100 countries globally. So we've been having a strong presence in every single continent. Now this is our growth. I mean, numbers are very important. We've been started in 2005, 1.3 million, and look at our growth. Absolutely staggering. As of 2023, we're sitting at 176 million euros in growth. So most companies during the pandemic, things were going down because they were all in the areas that is not needed. But in health is the most profitable industry. We never run out of fashion because we all want to be healthy and feel good for the rest of our life. So it makes sense to be in a nutritional company and offer a solution that has an implication, a positive impact on people's life. With that, timing, I spoke earlier about testing. We've already tested 1.5 billion people so far. The company's big goal by next year is down the corner, 2025, to have 1 million more customers, 1 million people to be tested, and of 2035, we're looking to acquire more 20 million customers. And I believe we can achieve that sooner because of the state of the world. There's so many sickness out there, there isn't many solutions. We're not talking about prevention. We are in a mission to help people and educate people about the most important number about their health that they're not aware of or they don't know. In the next 10 years, we believe the experts said that essential fatty acid panel test will be standardized to help us to understand what's happening in our cellular function. We know our blood pressure number, we know our glucose number, we know all these numbers, but what about our essential fatty acid number, our ratio? I was speaking to a gentleman I met a few weeks ago. He wrote a book, and one chapter in the book, he designated it to omega-3 and omega-6 ratio. And when I let him talk to him about Zenzino, he said, I never knew there was a test that you can actually find out the ideal ratio. He talked about it in his book and had no idea there's a company out there So we are in the perfect timing, we are in the perfect industry, we are in the prevention industry, not the sickness industry that I was spending most of my career in. Giving people medication, telling them they're sick, but not offering them anything. But here we have a solution, we have an offer to bring back people in balance, to help the UK and help our local communities to be aware of this amazing solution. So, it's not a secret that most people know about omega-3, but how many people are taking omega-3 supplement? These are the figures. 500 million are taking omega-3. There's a big hype about omega-3, it's a new buzzword. So this is the scale, this is the opportunity in the market. How many of us in this planet? 8 billion, 6.3 billion worldwide are deficient of omega-3. Most of these people are taking omega-3, they don't know if it's working. Therefore, here, these are all deficient. What is our solution? 95% pass their balance test in 120 days. So 97% fail, but the good news is 95% of them come back into balance because we test, we don't guess. Now we have two options for you today. If you're coming here for the first time to look at this information, it's great, it's about education. If it's brand new to you, the concept, we can offer you two options. Option number one, to become a customer, you need to get yourself tested to see where you are and test your loved ones. Or if you'd like to take it further and help other people and educate other people, we call it option B, which to become an educational or health entrepreneur like myself and many others, and become partner with us. And you have many advantages, and you have the second speaker after me. She will talk more about the advantages of becoming a partner and how you can get started and the benefits, etc. So it's my huge pleasure to introduce the next speaker to take you through the next part, which is getting started in the business, or getting started in this program or in this health journey. This lady got to know her for the past few years. She's incredible. She came all the way from Australia. She's settled down here in the UK, and she's teaching so many people and creating the awareness about the balance test and the importance of looking after our health. She's my dear friend. She's my business partner. Please help me introduce Remy Van Russell.